What's up, pod pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School, the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. This is a podcast audit episode. Today, we are auditing Chef Journeys, a culinary mechanic podcast with my pod pal, Simon. Simon, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Super happy to be here and excited to see what we can uncover.
Yeah, well, let's get a goal out there. I've got a world famous, it's known as the 6-month question that my listeners have heard me ask over and over and over again with these podcast audits. So let's say you and I are sitting down 6 months from now. We've been able to create some amazing momentum with your brand and with your show. What would that look like? What would a successful 6 months of growth look like for you and your brand and your show?
I think, well, I think some of it's mechanical, right? Some of it's the craft of it all. So I'd hope that steady rolling one live episode per week, one solo episode per week, really kind of pushing to not only get the word of Chef Journeys out there as far as other chefs, but also to kind of give my, as I see it, my much needed opinion on the world that is the restaurant industry. And then I think after that, it's just kind of honing in the mechanics of producing those 2 episodes a week. And then I think most importantly, at 6 months, I'd like to be comfortable with the process of promoting it all.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to get good at podcasting just by doing it, but I don't always know. I'm still a little older than sort of the contemporary podcaster right now. And so for me, social media isn't second nature. It's something that I'm still learning. So I think that aspect of promoting is definitely a big goal for me.
Okay. So you mentioned 2 episodes a week. Are you able to consistently do that now? Or do you feel like that's, are you doing 1 a week, or like, where are you at weekly now?
I'm at 1 live a week.
Okay.
And I've been at pretty much every other week I've been getting that solo one down. And I think that some of that is just, it's taking me a little longer to weed through the process. Like everything's still like a first or a second time or a fifth time versus just the repetition. Right.
Right. Okay. Well, I do think that is important as far as weekly content, especially people building like a personal brand where you may eventually start promoting programs, products, and services, things like that. Weekly content is really, really important. So don't let good enough be the enemy of perfect, or don't let perfect be the enemy of good. That's what the saying is. So like, make sure you are getting that 1 episode per week for sure. And then as you start to filter in that second episode, even better. So that's excellent. Let's talk about marketing episodes a little bit. I've got some simple strategies that I think will at least give you a goalpost to work towards, because you are somebody, you have a complete career outside of your online brand. So you've got all this stuff going on, and it is important to really factor that in with your marketing time. Like, we got to be efficient and effective, so you're not just out there trying to figure it all out and doing meaningless stuff that isn't really going to move the needle. So I think one effective use of our time today would be to dial in a little simple marketing strategy. Episode goes live. Here's what we're doing. So does that sound okay to kick things off?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So I've got what I call my 72-hour rule. And with that, it's a simple strategy of when you release your core content of the week. So like your main episode that you want to promote, you don't have to do this. If you're doing 2 episodes, you don't have to do this for both. I don't. I release on Tuesdays and Fridays. I only use this for my Tuesday episode, not my Friday episode. But when my Tuesday episode drops, I use the 72-hour strategy. So within 72 hours, I want to produce 5 marketing assets that individually entice whoever I'm marketing to listen to the latest episode. So it's not just like, new episode drop, go get it. Here's a big picture of my face. Like, I don't do any of that. It's always content that's going to take a little bit of the through line, ask an intriguing question or make an intriguing statement. If this, rang an alarm bell in your brain, then you're going to love this episode. Go get it. Right. So that's the way I think about all my marketing assets. So with me, and we can work up to this 5 asset thing. So right now we're not doing anything, let's start with 1 to 2, and then let's maybe layer them in as you get more time and you get more efficient with the process. So just kind of give you some examples. What I do, new episode drops of Podcasting Business School on Tuesday. So right now, Tuesday morning, I'm going to drop an Instagram carousel, which is like a multi-image post. So I do 6 slides where I go, I give 4 top takeaways, my 4 top takeaways from this episode. So it'll have like an intro slide with the title, and then takeaway 1 through 4. And then the last slide is, you want more, go get episode whatever of Podcasting Business School. So that's a very simple, let's give them some reasons to go listen. And I'm very concise with the text. I'm not writing a book with the post or anything, because it's all kind of right there. Like 4 takeaways are there. If this makes sense, go get it. Here's the episode again. So that's the first thing that comes out. That's the way I like to kind of kick off my promo. Then the next asset is either Tuesday evening. Sometimes I wait to post it until Wednesday morning, but I'll do like a 60-second or so Instagram reel or like a TikTok style video with a clip from the episode. So, like with this episode, I'll have one of those 60-second clips where hopefully I catch a moment where I say something intelligent, and then I'll clip it, and that's my reel. So I've got one of those that'll go out usually Tuesday evening. Then, so that's 2 assets. Then Wednesday morning, I kick out my weekly newsletter. And with my weekly newsletter, I spend time on that. I spend more time writing my weekly newsletter than I do editing my audio for my show, if that tells you anything. So I work hard on nurturing and building my email list. So what I do is I go, okay, what was this week's episode about? And then what is if it's 5 tips, what's one tip that I can go a little bit deeper on? Or what's a tangential but related topic that I could write a little bit about on my newsletter? So it's not just a review of what I cover in the show, like the 4 top takeaways. It's more of like, here's something you're not getting in the episode, but if you like this, you're definitely going to want to go into the episode. So I'll go a little bit deeper on something, but my audience is trained and knows that the newsletter is important because it's going to be something a little bit different, but related to this week's topic. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
And that way it's just like, I think when we try to get really simple with marketing, I'm a fan of that, but we can't be lazy where it's just like, go get it, go look, new episode. And there's no substance behind it of why should I go get it? Why should I listen? So we have to keep that top of mind. So that's my 3rd marketing asset. And then Wednesday evening, I'll either do another carousel, like maybe it's 3 mistakes of XYZ related to this topic. And it's like, if you are worried about making these mistakes, make sure you go listen to the latest episode. So that's another very simple carousel post that you could set up in Canva and just kind of swap things out week by week. And that's my 4th asset. Then on Thursday morning, I usually do one more Instagram reel. Either it's another clip from the episode, or if I'm feeling fancy, I'll do the whole like B-roll thing where it's like me doing dishes or working out, and then I put like some tips on the screen that are related again to the episode. So every piece of content is, if you like this, or if you're having questions like this or feelings like this, then you're going to need this episode. It's always redirecting back. So I'm going to pause. Any questions on that process, or any like major roadblocks? You're like, I have no idea what you're talking about there.
No. I mean, I think with me, like, I understand these concepts. I understand. I've actually done some of the clips already. Like that feels good to me.
Good.
The Instagram carousel, I've done LinkedIn carousel, so I'm fairly sure that's going to translate.
Perfect.
So it's just, for me, it's just nice to hear like somebody else go, oh, these are the 5 things. So I think that's the best thing for me, is just like with anything else, it's like, start with a template, start with some place, and then I can motor from there, and then and iterate and just kind of get better at it. But trying to figure out how many, when, where, that's the hard part for me.
And that's where people waste time. Yeah, you're exactly right. People, you just described me, my first 3 years being a podcaster. I'm like, I have to figure everything out because I don't know anybody else, and I don't have anybody to teach me any of this stuff. So it was a long and winding road. So yeah, I would just use that as kind of a template and go, okay, yeah, these carousel posts are working really, really well on LinkedIn. Let's do more of that and use it as kind of a template. That's the beautiful thing about Canva is you can kind of create one thing that works, and all of a sudden you're just swapping out episode numbers and the little takeaway things. And
Right.
I've got my same weird Adam face pictures where I'm like looking up and pointing at things or whatever, and it kind of works. And like you don't have to do Instagram stuff. If LinkedIn is your platform of choice, focusing on that. I'm big on like, don't worry about being everywhere. Be in the top right place where most of your listeners are hanging out. And then if you want to diversify from there, cool. Or if you have some content that's really like, oh, I can do this vertical video that works for Instagram, works for LinkedIn, it works for TikTok, and I can just go post, copy and paste.
That
That's
actually
okay
brings
too.
a question for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think everybody's probably got their own opinion, but in your opinion, like, how do you feel about like taking the same asset and going, I don't know, 5 platforms, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Like, how do you feel about like just kind of blanketing that? Because
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The only thing I'm always going to challenge online business owners, online entrepreneurs, content creators like yourself. I'm always going to challenge you with, is this worth your time? Is this something that you could delegate to someone else? Like if you have a VA, this is an awesome thing to delegate and be like, take care of this. I'm going to create this one piece of content and you go make it go everywhere. Great thing to delegate. If you've got, like a VA from the Philippines that you're paying $7 an hour or something, this is great. So that's one thing. If it's you doing it and you're like, okay, that just ate up 45 minutes or this, if you can do it efficiently and effectively, awesome. Let's go for it. But also I mainly focus, I only focus on Instagram pretty much for the last 2 to 3 years. Cause I'm like, this is where my clients are finding me. This is where a lot of my listeners hang out. This is where I get the most engagement. This feels the most ELF, easy, lucrative, fun. I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. And I get swayed into new platforms. I try things out because I kind of have to do that for the show. I feel like I owe it to my listeners. I'm like, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to give it 28 days and I'm going to go hard and I'll report back and see if this is worth it or not. And most times it's not for me. And for everybody, it's not going to be Instagram. Like for you, maybe it's LinkedIn or whatever. So I would focus in on that one core platform first, build the content for that. Right. So if certain things are working there, build it for there and then go, is this easily shareable and copy and pasteable to other platforms that takes 5 minutes or I could delegate it? Cool, go for that. But I never want to tell podcasters that they have to be everywhere. I feel like focusing on the one right fit platform is a really smart move, but we have to figure out what that is. So initially you do have to kind of spray it out there a little bit. It's like having multiple fishing lines in the water and go, wow, I'm getting a ton of engagement from these TikTok videos. And I got 10,000 people liking and commenting over there. And I've got 10 people liking and commenting on Instagram or LinkedIn. Then we kind of know where we need to go, where our audience is hanging out at. That makes sense?
Right. Yeah, totally.
So, and the other thing I want to explain is the 72-hour factor of this, because that's important. So the goal is to drive as much traffic and get as much episode consumption as we can in the first 3 days, because that is, from what we can tell, that's kind of for Apple and Spotify, the zone where a piece of content is considered new content.
Right.
So it's like when you post something on LinkedIn and you get a whole bunch of comments right away, all of a sudden here come the floodgates. It's exposed to a much larger audience, right? Because the algorithm's like, oh, people are commenting. This needs to be shared out. Things are happening over here on what Simon just posted. So the same thing happens with podcasts, where a new piece of content drops. If that's being gobbled up and consumed, when people are searching, chef, culinary tips or whatever, your keywords, your show is going to be more likely to be tossed out there for those keywords if you're driving a lot of engagement in that 72-hour window. So I don't recommend promoting over a 5 or 7 day period. I want to drive as much traffic in that 72 hours to kind of get the most juice out of that initial squeeze for that episode. And, we can always promote it more if we want to, but I feel like those first 3 days, we want to take fully advantage of those. And especially since you're wanting to do 2 episodes per week, that kind of fits that window a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I like that actually. It just gives me some sort of focus as far as time of the week. Like, okay, we got to go here, and these are the things that need to happen. So,
yeah,
no, that's good.
And I think even if you just started with 2 and go, okay, on launch day, I'm going to kick out a top 4 takeaways, and on the next day, I'm going to post a video clip with you saying something strong or important or creating curiosity. I think that's a great place to start. And then now you're like, all right, I'm focused on building my email list, and I can do a newsletter like Adam. Or with AI, kicking out videos is getting easier and easier to where you can use like Opus AI, or I use VIDYO, video.ai, and you can chop up, you can just toss it in there, and it'll give you 4 or 5 different options, and most of them are pretty darn good. And you can have videos for 3 days in a row, and video content is hard to beat. Like, it's not, usually it works on all platforms, and you get decent engagement. So
yeah, I played with Opus Clip last week, and I actually could see myself playing with that more.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this could make it so that I could probably, and of course it links it for virality or whatever that is, and makes it so you kind of know where you're going.
Yeah.
I think that that seems like the good start. So
yeah,
like they're gonna start there.
Yeah, leverage AI when you can with marketing assets, leverage virtual assistants when you can to delegate. Like, some podcasters will just go, here's a 20-minute solo episode, VA, take it, enter it into Opus, kick out 5 clips, and then schedule them for, 5 posts in 72 hours, and you're good to go. So that can be pretty cost effective too, because a lot of the AI services are super cheap. I use video.ai's free platform. I've never had to pay for it, and I would kick out 3 videos a week off of that. So that's something that is pretty steady for me in my podcasting process. So do you feel good? Do you feel better than 19 minutes ago as far as our marketing process goes?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm going to do is kind of create sort of the checklist. I'm the kitchen guy, so create a checklist and just start going. Okay, can I get 2 of these done a week? Yes, I can do 2 a week. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Add a third. Just keep going until all of this for me is about learning the skills. So I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. So my next question for you is, do you feel like you have a regular content creation schedule / routine where, like, for example, for my brand, I block off between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. every Tuesday just to record new content and do like editing and production. Like, I don't do anything else. That's always blocked off for that. So do you have something similar right now? If not, I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit.
I don't. I know that it'll be helpful. I've just kind of been a little scattered as far as like getting that set up.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked before we started recording, like, I had a brick and mortar business with my gym, and I kind of had to have 2 calendars. I had my online business calendar, which my podcast is a part of. Even though I wasn't selling anything as an online business, I already viewed it. I'm like, that's where it's going. So I need to view it as that and give it the mental respect as an online business. And then I had my brick and mortar business calendar and schedule. And I just started to block off time for my online business. And that's like when I'm in business for that side of my brand. Right. So I love the idea, and you can play around with days, times, but just find a pocket when you can move some things aside with your main business and go, okay, this 2-hour block, this is podcast only. This is online brand only, and nothing else gets in this window. And that way you can be really efficient and effective with your content creation. If you're doing interviews, you can block them in that window, solo episode creation, social media asset. Because with me, I do content creation Tuesday morning. Then I usually do a lot of sessions like this, kind of midday Tuesday. Then and the back edge of Tuesday, I'm doing a lot of the marketing asset. So I'm creating the videos off the episodes I just created and all that. So I kind of have this flow every week. And then I know if I run out of time for whatever reason, I can kind of catch up on Wednesday a little bit, but like all that time. But I would do that even when I had my gym.
Right.
And I just delegated things. Like I got a general manager. I'm like, you take care of these things on Tuesday mornings. I'm not going to be interrupted. Like this is, recording day or whatever. So I kind of had to, it's like when you open up the lid on Neapolitan ice cream, you got the different flavors and they're all,
Right.
there's like a line there,
Yeah.
the vanilla, the chocolate, strawberry, you can clearly see each flavor. The average podcaster slash online entrepreneur that also has a brick and mortar business looks like melted Neapolitan ice cream. It's just like all over the place. And it's like, and now I'm going to record a thing. And then I'm going back to my brick and mortar. And then I've got a meeting with this and I got a meeting. It's just randomness. So one thing that I would highly encourage you to do is get very structured with your schedule of when is online business time dedicated, when is brick and mortar time. And just as like for me, I wanted to transition out of brick and mortar into online only. I had that as a goal. And I knew that had to that part of my calendar had to grow every
Right.
time. When I started creating offers or doing discovery calls and getting clients, I'm like, okay, it has to grow a little bit, It can't just be this thing I do for 15 minutes a week or an hour a week. It's got, it came to a point where I felt like I had two full-time jobs at the same time. But then I knew I was getting close. I'm like, because real meaningful income was coming in from the online business. And it eventually crossed a point where I was like, all right, I think I'm very close to replacing my income. If I go full time and add a little bit extra time on this side of the calendar, I definitely know I'll be able to get there. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm letting go of the fitness brand and the brick and mortar business. So,
Right.
yeah, so that's kind of what my journey looked like. Is that helpful?
Totally. I mean, I think for me, I am, culinary mechanic. It acts as, coaching slash counseling. Well, not counseling, consulting. There it is.
There you go.
Um, and I kind of, there's a lot of days where I eschew both of those words and go straight for advisor. So, I do some consulting for restaurants. I also do some coaching for chefs. And so we get in there with that. And so I think a lot of it becomes, all this stuff is like, I pushed off the brick and mortar a few years ago. And so I've been all in this for the last year and a half. And this started as sort of like almost a creative outlet. And then I started to realize, oh, without even realizing it, I can actually work towards feeding my business.
Oh yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I
just
think this is,
understanding that is I think then employing some structure around that is,
yeah.
this is super helpful because it's like, okay, so if I'm going to have these, let's go big because we can't go home yet. You're gonna have the 5 things, right? And so great, those are gonna hit at these times. Well, that starts to, for me, that starts to like force you to step back and go, okay, if I'm gonna release it on Wednesday, it needs to be done on Tuesday. If you're gonna
Yep.
release something on Tuesday, it needs to be done on Thursday afternoon because I'm really trying not to work quite as much on Fridays in my old age,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so but just I also know that you tend to work like 3 days a week, and so
Yeah.
that for me, that's the goal, right? Like to get it condensed and focused enough that I can do that.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I mean, I think as a service provider, it is very doable if you are willing to set some boundaries. Um, like we can't set a goal of like, let's see how much money we can make online, but we can set a goal of let's see how much money we can make online with a 3-day work week. I love that goal. Like that way you have boundaries and you're not working yourself into an earlier grave or whatever by just like, let's try to make as much money and then, or die trying. I'm like, that doesn't sound like very much fun. So,
uh-huh.
no, I think you're positioning yourself nicely. So the next key steps are getting that, you're looking at your show specifically, that dedicated podcast time in your calendar of content creation, marketing asset creation, and then marketing asset deployment, like getting that in your calendar, where I just have a simple Google sheet that I use where I'm like, top 3 things for each day, even on the days that I don't work. Like it'll say like, go to the grocery, work out, whatever. But on my business days, it'll be like, create 2 episodes, edit and produce 2 episodes, marketing assets for 2 episodes. If I get those 3 things done on a Tuesday, we won the day. And then I've got like the rest of the stuff, if I have extra time list, then that moves to the next day, and that can move into the top 3 for the next day as projects and things are checked off. But I think as online entrepreneurs and as podcasters and as content creators, we tend to overload ourselves a little bit. We have very high expectations, and we don't celebrate wins. As we get them, we're like, what's the next checkbox that I've got to check off? Even though you've had a great day, you just created some awesome content, like take the win. Take the win, pod pals. Take the freaking win and celebrate it, and don't go, but look at the 1,000 things on my list that I didn't get done. That's called real life. And, if you can have 3 impactful check boxes that you can tick off each day and go, okay, I made momentum. I learned that.
Yeah, I'm down. After running restaurants for 30 plus years, like to only have 3 is sick. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like the book, The One Thing. It's like, if you were to accomplish, and in this case, it would be 3 things. Like, if out of your day, if you were to accomplish 3 things and just 3 things, which 3 things would make the most overall impact for your positive impact on the rest of your week or your life or whatever? So it's not like zeroing out my inbox is a goal that I have on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I've got other higher priority tasks other than wading through my email inbox. Like, I'll get to it, but I got to create that content for my show, because that is the most important thing I could do on a Tuesday for my brand. And I schedule it first thing because I want to be caffeinated. I want to be creative. I want to be like, I don't want to be into the day. I'm tired. I've been dealing with people all day. Like, that's not the right mindset. So kind of prioritizing your schedule as a content creator, I think it'll help you a bunch. So
awesome.
Let's shout out your brand and your website, your show. So if people want to kind of dive deeper into your world, check out your show, all those things, where should people go?
Well, let's start with the easy one. The podcast is Chef Journeys. You can find it wherever you find podcasts. I'm also starting to get to the place where I've got it on YouTube. That's still a work in progress, but the other one is my website, which is culinarymechanic.com. Just trying to, and the link to the website, the link to the podcast is there as well. So if sometimes people are like, I don't really like the services, I'm like, okay, man, wherever you want to find it, I got it for you. So yeah, that's me. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. You can pretty much see me there pretty consistently. And my Instagram presence is slowly growing.
There you go.
But that's just sort of my new skill for 2024 is to start to push on Instagram.
Very cool, man. Very cool. All right. So if you guys are out there in the chef/culinary world, go and check out Simon and get connected. And I bet you learn something. So if you guys want to be just like Simon and pop on for a podcast audit, if you've never done one before, go ahead and head on over to the main website, www.podcastingbusiness.school. Get signed up, hop on my calendar. You can come on the show for a podcast audit. And with that, Pod Pals, we're going to wrap up another episode here. I'm going to send you out into the world, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Adam.